Do you want to know how to survive the winter whilst out on the bike? In this video, we're going to take you through some top tips on how to fully prep yourself and your bike for the winter.
Yeah, we're going to get you riding in the wind, rain, or even snow. Before you do so, make sure you click the bell icon so you'll get a notification every time we upload a video. Right, what's next?
First up, bike prep.
Oh, start it up.
The first thing you want to think about is being visible on the roads. As the days get shorter and the nights get longer, being visible could genuinely save your life. So if you haven't already done so, invest in a good set of lights. Generally speaking, these days, I do use a light on my bike at all times, but especially so in the winter. In the daytime, I'll use it with a flashing setting to increase my visibility to oncoming traffic and other road users. But when the rides get darker, I'll then switch it to its solid setting so I can actually see where I'm going. On the rear, I'll generally run two lights, one solid and one flashing at all times. One more thing you want to think about when it comes to your light setting is the angle you have it pointed at. You don't want it so high that you're lighting up the sky and blinding other road users, but equally, you don't want it pointing just ahead of your wheel. Ideally, you want to have it somewhere just ahead of you, around 5 to 10 meters depending on your speed, so that you're picking out all those imperfections on the road and increasing your own safety.
During those wet and quite dreary winter days, having a set of mud guards is an absolute lifesaver. It'll not only stop you from getting a wet bum, but it'll also save you kit and prevent you from doing a lot of bike maintenance. Now, if you've seen out on a club ride some experienced pros, you will notice that they've got an extra little flap on the bottom of their mud guard. And this is not only for them, but it's also for the riders behind them when they're on their group rides. It'll stop them getting sprayed and getting filthy dirty. So, well, instead of going out on a group ride and losing friends, then you might actually be gaining them. Good little hack there. This is one I did earlier. It literally took me 5 minutes, getting a can, pair of scissors and some tape, and there you have it. I'm pretty happy with that. I might send it into Hack and Bodge.
One very important consideration to make when it comes to setting your bike up for the winter is your choice of tyre. There's a few things you can do there. You can increase the width, and you can also go for a more durable tyre, which should help cope with the conditions you often find in the winter. Traditionally speaking, roads aren't as in good a condition in the winter, and debris is often washed into the roads. So having a more resilient tyre that's more puncture proof with something like Kevlar inside of it will help prevent punctures. Something else you could consider going for is a tubeless tyre, such as we have here. This will seal all but the worst of punctures whilst out on the road in the winter. And then you could consider the width of your tyre. Now in the summer, I'll generally run a 25mm tyre these days. Bike frames though do come with a little bit more clearance, certainly since the dawn of the era of the disc brake, meaning we'd no longer have to fit a rim brake over the top of a tyre. So I could quite comfortably fit a 28mm on here. I could then run it at lower pressure for a little bit more grip, but also a little bit more comfort. I love riding my bike in the summer, mainly because I don't have to clean it after every single ride. But it is just a fact of life that as we head in towards the winter, the weather's generally not as good and the roads are a bit dirtier, meaning cleaning my bike is going to be part of my routine. I used to get so annoyed when I came out the next day and found my bike was still filthy dirty, it hadn't magically been cleaned over the night, and the chain had gone orange. What I recommend doing is setting up a little cleaning station wherever it is that you finish your ride. That way you can rinse the worst of it off quickly and easily at the end of the ride when all the dirt and mud is still fresh. It'll fall off much easier, and then lube it up and then put it away. Not only will this prevent your bike wearing out as quickly, it'll also be much more enjoyable to ride. James, why didn't you do that last night?
So your bike is fully winterized. It's now thinking about the clothing and what to wear for those temperatures. It's all about layers, layers, and layers. Starting off with the base layer. There are so many out there, from short sleeves, long sleeve, knitted, woolly, but finding one that best suits the temperature you'll be riding in is super important. It's then going for some thin thermal layers. That will trap the warmth in and keep the cold out. A saying worth remembering is that you can always take layers off when you get too hot, but you can't put layers on if you don't have them. And it's then having a cape in your back pocket. That will keep you warm on the descents, and it'll also keep you dry. Now, one last thing to think about is that a lot of heat is lost out your head, your hands and your feet. So it's really worth thinking about what to put on your head. Say, for example, something like Chris is wearing, a skull cap, or maybe even a casquette like me. And then onto your hands. I've gone for some thin gloves. It's only about 6 degrees Celsius, and I find this is the perfect temperature for these. And then on my feet, I've gone for no overshoes. If it's not wet, I do kind of prefer it.
And then the same thing for me in my hands. I actually prefer to have my hands out at all costs, even if they are a little bit cold. Now, it's worth noting that these are generalised tips for riding in a European winter, and we completely understand that many of you out there have much more severe climates to deal with.
Yeah, make sure you buy kit that's appropriate for the weather you'll be riding in.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up.
And for more videos, click down there. Right, see ya!